your friends, but nothing ever came of
State versus Sean Combs, aka Diddy, aka Puff, aka Puffy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Love.
He wants that jury to think of him as Mr. Rogers.
Wash your filthy mouth out with soap. He is a criminal from the beginning to the end.
Everyone may agree that Combs was a bad boyfriend.
A bad boyfriend?
The bad boy lifestyle isn't the same thing as a criminal life.
Because it's bad boys for life, and it's gonna be very bad for him for life, I guess. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Talk Podcast. Don't mind the background noise. It's my coffee. It's now ready, and I cannot wait to get a sip from it. So grab yourself some coffee as well, or whatever your favorite beverage is, and let's dive into this
lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. It's a death knell. We are live at the courthouse, and joining us now, investigative reporter Lauren Conlon, star of Pup Crime TV. Lauren, thank you for being with us. A lot happening in the courtroom today. What happened?
After Kid Cudi took the stand today, we heard from a celebrity makeup artist, Myra Morales, who was very good friends with Cassie, and she described an altercation before the VMAs in 2010 where she was in a conjoining room. So I guess two double suites is how I understood it. And she talked about how she heard but didn't see what appeared to be a altercation between Cassie and Diddy. And she saw Cassie's injuries after the fact. She told Cassie to go to the hospital, and Cassie did not. But she testified that she remained close with Cassie, and Cassie felt comfortable enough to stay at her house. She even said that during one occasion, she called one of her doctor friends to come over and look at Cassie's injuries. And she also had Cassie talk to one of her lawyer friends, but nothing ever came of that. During the cross-examination done by Anna Esteveo, she really hammered Morales on the fact that she's done 2 documentaries about Diddy and multiple media interviews, totaling 8. She also got Morales to admit that she sold photos of Kim Porter for money and took money from one of the documentaries in order to expense.
So a quick interruption for people who have no idea how things have been going so far. What is it with Kid Cudi? Why is he even involved? So let me share with you my understanding. At some point during the time when Cassie Ventura was in a relationship with Diddy Combs, she met Cudi, I guess, for some kind of work relationship, but they really had a good time together. They had great understanding together. They kind of liked each other. And for what I understood, they started dating each other on the side. So Sean Combs was not aware of this, but obviously he knows everything, or he will find out at some point. So he did. There was some threatening going on from, Diddy threatening Cudi to leave his girl alone and all that good stuff, and also telling him, what I can do, and I can let things happen, and I'm not even going to be involved in the whole situation. Long story short, at some point, sipping my coffee, 1 second. I cannot tell you guys, but there's something so about coffee. At some point, allegedly, there was a threat made saying that I'm going to put your car on fire, and a few weeks later, that really happened. Someone put Kid Cudi's car on fire, and obviously he was thinking 1 + 1 is 2. He was thinking he knows who did that, or at least he thought he knew who was in charge of that. So there's just so much nonsense happening. And then after some time, I guess like at least a year or 2 or some months, Diddy and Cudi kind of met random. And on Cudi's claim, he said Diddy actually apologized for the situation back then. That gave him closure, that gave him peace, but also that proved to him that yes, he wasn't delusional about this. It was actually him who did all the stress, all the trauma, all the threatening, all the setting fires, setting the car on fire and all that bad stuff, right? So Kid Cudi, the rapper Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Mescudi, testified about his brief relationship with Cassie in 2011. He alleged that after Combs learned of their relationship, Combs broke into his home. That was also one of his testimony, not only that the car was set on fire, but someone or Diddy broke into his home and also took his dog and locked the dog up in the bathroom. Thank God they didn't shoot the dog or did anything crazy to the dog, right? Does that make sense? I hope so. Broke into his home, messed with his dog, and later his Porsche was destroyed by a Molotov cocktail. Cudi described a subsequent meeting with Combs.
Cloud, and then he explained why you might see some issues with the way messages are shown based on the extraction, because we have seen double messages, we've seen blank messages. So he was explaining this to us. Now, when Tony Garagos got up to do her cross, she asked about It was one of the MacBooks that had two usernames on the login screen. One was Frank Black, which we know was one of Diddy's aliases, and the other one was a guest user. The HSI agent confirmed that no data was extracted from the one user, but when Garagos was finished and they did the redirect, they really made sure to say that they only extracted data from Frank Black after they got a search warrant, because Cassie, she willingly gave over her devices, but it's clear Frank Black is one of Diddy's aliases, and so they needed a warrant for that. We also heard from the general manager of the La Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills, and essentially what he showed us was different names that were used to check into these hotels. Frank Black, we saw, Frank White, we saw Jackie Starr, which we know is Cassie Ventura, and then we saw notes that they took that are, they just help the hotel staff know who's coming to the hotel, what to expect. And it was a lot of corroboration in these notes as to what to expect when Frank Black or Sean Combs arrives. There were notes that the cleaning staff should add $1,000 extra for a deep clean or for damages, because they noted that there was candle wax everywhere. Candle wax is on the carpet, on the nightstands. They also noticed or noted that there would be oil spilled everywhere and they would have to do a deep clean. So again, there was a lot of corroboration and there was no cross-examination for the hotel manager.
Evidence pouring from the witness stand, and we are learning that even when Sean Combs is arrested, knowing that he may turn himself in, even that night when his five-star hotel is raided, it's full of damning evidence. Listen.
Homeland Security Special Agent Yassine Binda, who searched Sean Combs' Manhattan Park Hyatt hotel suite the day of his arrest. Bottles of baby oil and lube were scattered throughout the suite, and a lighting device was found in the living room. Pill bottles found in a Louis Vuitton toiletry bag contained Klonopin, prescribed for Frank Black, and a pink powder that tested positive for ketamine and MDMA. A fanny pack contained $9,000 cash, and Binda said it appeared a woman was staying in the room with Combs.
That's not all that was found. Sean Combs planning a freak off in a five-star hotel in Manhattan when he's arrested. Sydney Sumner joining us. What is Astroglide?
Astroglide is lubrication for sexual purposes, Nancy.
Okay, I'm just curious, Josh Ritter, you're so busy planning how you can destroy Dawn Richard on the stand, how you can tear her testimony into shreds. You tell me, after all this, and this is after a federal multi-count indictment, there he is, the night of his arrest, with a hotel room stuffed with Astroglide, multiple bottles.
With baby oil, with lubricant all over the place. Now, what are you going to say about that?
Of baby oil, all sorts of lubricants, sex aids, and tons of cash and drugs. I mean, the man can't help himself. He is a criminal from the beginning to the end. This is the night of his arrest.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that. It doesn't look good. You're absolutely right. Here's the thing, though, that the defense is going to have to continue to hammer home. And maybe this is becoming a hill too high to climb. But it's the idea that as deviant as this is, as outrageous as it is, where is the crimes here? I know we're hearing a lot of testimony about really kind of sick behavior, but have we heard a lot about him understanding that consent was not being given?
I will let this roll for a bit and I will add my take to this. I will have some question to this and I would really, really want people to chime into this. I would love to hear other people's opinion. And also my take to it and my few questions to it, I would wish that people take this in, not as judgment, not as victim shaming, none of that, but as a way to understand that this life is not always what it seems, and we need to be aware of different cases, predators, and also how to say this, right? We need to take responsibilities as well for what places we want to be in, what people we want to be surrounded by, what lifestyle we want to partake in, right?
And we heard a lot about criminal enterprise.
Put
Those are the
him
dots
what?
the prosecution's going to have to
Okay,
connect.
you're actually making my teeth hurt. Does he understand lack of consent? According to the state, the women were drugged out of their gourds. Didn't you hear about that Louis Vuitton bag stuffed full of ecstasy, coke, pot, Plan B birth control? I don't mean just one Plan B.
I think, to me it's crazy. I'm not going to argue that. To me it's crazy, but I think the point there is perhaps how are they going to prove that these women or whoever people were not only invited but decided to come and partake in those freak offs? Did they not perhaps take these things willingly? Right? That's going to be very tricky to prove, because if someone wants to harm you using drugs, that's easy. They just drop something into your drink, mix it into your food in a slick, tiny moment where you just are not aware of it. And when you're in a party, you can try your best to be, cautious and careful, but most likely you're going there to be more open, more fun, more, you want to feel comfortable. So it can happen that someone sneaks something into your drink in a manner where you would never tell. But at the same time, it could also be that there were people who perhaps wanted to do drugs, right? So that's tricky, difficult, sensitive.
Birth control pill. I mean, a whole Louis Vuitton bag.
The birth control thing, that's new information to me, really. And that is so odd. Who has that? I can see people having crazy parties, lots to drink, drugs, and all that. We've heard that. I could see that. But who has birth control pills on their party?
Sydney Sumner, tell him what was in the Louis Vuitton bag that Combs carried constantly.
There was Klonopin prescribed for Frank Black, which is an alias that Combs used very frequently when booking hotel rooms for freak-offs. And they also found pink powder, sometimes referred to as pink cocaine or tulis, and that tested positive for both ketamine and ecstasy.
Rob Shooter is joining me, the PR publicist for Sean Combs, former PR guru for Sean Combs, and see everything went to crap when you left. Host of Naughty But Nice podcast and author of the 4-Word Answer. Rob Shooter, question to you. You're hearing about threats from another star, Don Richard, on the stand. Threats that people disappear when they talk. Did many people surrounding Sean Combs have to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and why?
Yes, absolutely. There are NDAs everywhere. I did not sign one, but lots and lots of people that worked for Puffy did sign NDAs. And this is because he doesn't want the truth getting out. Not necessarily about the accusations we are talking about today, but his whole life. He's a complete...
I need to interrupt there real quick because something just came to mind with the Shannon Sharp situation. He was with this girl, this young woman, and there was also this, sign an NDA. She didn't want to sign it. Kind of mixed up, suspicious setting of a relationship. He's like, signed the NDA. People are claiming that he's aggressive and forceful and all that's good stuff. She decided not to sign the NDA and also decided to stick with that, whatever kind of relationship setting they had until it went left, right? And I remember saying that, to me, I can understand when someone who's like in a celebrity status and they want you to sign that. But at the same time, I would also ask myself, being in whatever kind of friendship relationship, why and what is there to hide, right? So there is a choice made. Now look at this man, okay? Obviously, I don't know if he was involved in some kind of freak off or not, but he's a journalist or some kind of assistant or whatever. And he did not sign one. So I'm just thinking, I'm assuming there must be some level of choice entering the whole situation before you get to learn how crazy it gets, perhaps, because obviously that's how if someone wants to hide something from you, they will. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, you meet someone you're having a good time with, they want you to sign an NDA. It's on your part to say or think, why? What are we doing? Why do you want me to sign this? What are you trying to keep secretive? Does that make sense? Am I?
Control freak. He decides what's in the media, what's in the press, and what isn't. You don't decide that. He does. An example, even though I didn't have an NDA with him, every press release I sent out about Puffy, whether it be playing Broadway, running a marathon, changing his name, he approved. He approved it. And a lot of celebrities sort of glance at these
Why
press
did he
releases
change his name so many times, Rob?
to get attention. To get attention, we'd literally be sitting in his conference room, and he was like, "Not getting a lot of press this week. Let's."
Could be. Obviously, it's going to draw attention. I've heard some other claims on why over the years, decades, he's been changing his names. And for what I remember, I do not remember anymore where I got this claim from, but I remember someone saying, I guess, wasn't it some kind of security of his saying that he would do that, kind of tap into a new persona when something really bad occurred. And unfortunately, within those times, you would find that someone is gone missing or passed away. I don't know. Alleged.
Change my name, which is why I have said, and I believe this in a really perverse way, Diddy is enjoying what is happening right now. He has made himself one of the most famous people in the world, and in a sick, perverse way, I think he's secretly enjoying that we're all talking about Diddy.
Shooter, what about this PR fail? First of all, we hear all about Diddy's Tootsie Roll last week. How one victim, when she saw that, wasn't as afraid anymore. Then we have damning testimony on the stand, just pouring from Cassie Ventura, with the jury looking over at him like, UPOS. Ugh. Now we hear the latest PR fail, where Sean Combs' PR people are paying just bystanders out in front of the courthouse, paying them $20 an hour to wear a free Puffy t-shirt, and the press found out
No way. No way. That is crazy.
about it.
That is crazy. No.
Pathetic, but not surprising. It seems to be here that Puffy is really waging a two-pronged war, a legal war and a PR war. PR is very important to Puffy. He has spent a lot of money on publicists. And these T-shirts, we shouldn't be that surprised. He's done this before. When I was working with him, he was trying to get young people to vote, and he came up with these T-shirts called Vote or Die that he sold. He made money
Vote or die? No way.
from at his store. So I'm wondering if these T-shirts were produced by Sean John, his clothing line. If not,